Thank you. It's great to be here. That was quite an introduction. My God, I've been busy. I'm going to read eight poems. So the first two poems I'm going to read are from a collection of poetry called The Fist of Remembering. My partner died of cancer in 2000. He was under 40, non-smoker, fit. It came out of nowhere, and he was dead in a year, and it was shocking to everyone. And but I hadn't written for most of my adult life, and the book started me on this trail. And as you just heard, I haven't stopped. So I've published 7 books since then, but this is the one that kicked me off. And so, a very tragic young death, but this is the gift I got out of it. The Fist of Remembering. If I can remember where I marked it. Andrew. Each day, new lumps, hard as pearls, spring like bulbs in staggered rows between the narrow caves of your ribs. Each day, new pain, bone pain. You moan, talk to yourself. Arms and hands float like ghosts away from your sides. From air above your face, you pluck imaginary feathers, pick apples from high branches, reach through the dark for the light above our bed. I wanted to touch your alive skin. Even the tumor that came forth like a biblical prediction turned upon one of God's best. Laughing and screaming, it came forth, and the rest of you caved in around it. There wasn't a kiss I could give or squeeze of hand that could hold you in this house, that bed, our room. Glass dropper against your teeth, under your tongue, morphine, lorazepam. You go into yourself inch by inch, pound by pound, and your teeth come forward, as do your cheeks and your skulls and your eyes, asking, what happened? How did I get like this? The last week we slept holding hands. Yours cold and thin, your eyes 2 slits of light, unspoken. And me, every 8 or 10 minutes, I watch the rise and fall of your chest. The Fist of Remembering. Death takes what it wants. A square of greed, ready for more. Rich like a pudding, strong on its own sour milk. And like smoke, I can make my eyes water and think twice about going in for a second look. You are dead. Not blissful, not at rest, not a ripple column of white or the smell of vanilla hanging in the room. Those triceps are ashes. The bills pile up. Mail still comes with your name on it. In the fist, I wait. I do not turn on the lamp or walk through the room where you died, where your heart stopped and your breathing, where your mother tells others her son came to rest. Okay, that's as sad as it gets. So the next poem is in fact from Best Canadian Poetry 2014, and I was sharing over dinner that I've bought Tightrope Books, and Tightrope Books publishes the Best Canadian Poetry, and I swear I was picked by Sonnet LeBay, the guest editor, before I bought the press. So that's my preface there. There's a couple poems in this in Music Garden that are based on art, and this one was based on, for those of you who've been to Toronto, the Henry Moore, the big round sculpture in front of the Art Gallery of Ontario, inspired this. As well as in the news, I turned on the news one morning, and there was a deer wandering down Dundas and McCall in the city, and it was very surreal, and it inspired this poem. It's called Eclipse, after Henry Moore's large 2 forms. 2-ton bronze, split and curved on the corner, my body a disfigured shadow against its glistening black. Large enough to crawl through, to caress and worship, breast and pelvis in flagrante delecto under morning sun. Then the city shifting art converged with wonder. A deer arrives, dark-eyed and shaking. Perhaps she wandered down the Rouge or the Humber, weaving through empty avenues, grazing her way up night-lit streets. Dundas's deer path, trees and stars, moon-flecked buildings, the gathering light of snow. Rush hour commuters collide in disorder, November sliding into December, the mood about to turn cold. Animal control, traffic patrol, a fidgety sharpshooter with a loaded gun. The deer is startled, suspended, her lean body coiled to jump, the ketamine darts red flag in her side. Tremor, sway, she skids and falls, kicking up at quick shadows, blood-laced breath from her nostrils, thin eyelid eclipsing in the enormous moor caught in her perfectly curved black pupil. So, Narcissus Unfolding. The poem I'm about to read from here got new glasses, and they just want to fall off my face. The first poem I'm going to read from here is called Black Ice. And my middle name is Stewart. I'm actually named after Jimmy Stewart. And so Jimmy Stewart had a movie called Vertigo, and I had a very, very bad flu a couple of years ago when I wrote this poem. So you'll see a bit of Jimmy Stewart and a bit of Vertigo in this. Black Ice. It was the laneway in January that frightened me most. The reaching out branches of lifeless trees, murmurings of the all-night streetcar, the one or two people walking through the dark, and the snow stirring, all as it should be when you have something to hide. It was the cold gray clouds and framed in a square of light. It was the man in the second floor window yelling at someone I could not see. It was the way his fist pounded the air and his shirt was off, thrown over the back of a chair. The man was lean, pounding and pointing. It felt as if that someone was me. It was the falling, darkness and falling, the time-crusted glow of the moon reflected in a sheet of ice. And the thud that I heard was me on my side looking up through the cold. It was the light gone from the window, and silence except for the low anger streetcar. It was the upside down, naked with trees, laneway at night. And I wanted to pull the ice like a blue-black blanket over my legs and fall asleep. Because sometimes sleep is vertigo, the drawn-out stutter of a radiant heart, the shifting plates of darkness. That was some flu. Okay, so Music Garden, inspired by the waterfront area in downtown Toronto. I'm going to read in the spirit of Valentine's, like that terrific poem we just heard. The first one is called Night Travelers at Swoon, and the only thing I'll tell you about Swoon is it's the name of a restaurant in upstate New York, and it's a fancy schmancy place that someone directed us to after mountain climb. It's pretty self-explanatory, except for the restaurant part called Swoon. Night Travelers at Swoon. After our muddy climb up Snowy Mountain, we drive through New York State in the dark. At West Point, 3 soldiers with a pit bull and guns, bad coffee at a pizza dive that makes us spin. Back in the car, we listen to Billy singing Loverman, search for the Hudson exit. My view from the right speeds by, perhaps of fox's red eyes in a ditch. Look at the blackened sky, my God, the far winding sky over the river, moonlit slow. I try to keep you awake, mindful of deer sprinting across the road. I hold your coffee, touch your leg. I touch your leg and listen to the listen to the rain against the window. The interstate like a wet skunk, the white line down the middle, slick with 6 days of wet. We stop at Swoon and the waiter ignores our mud-stained clothes. Later, the sky and river both murky. I'm grateful for the dashboard glow. Billy's ache between us again. The downpour of stars spatter the road. Oh, and this one's the AntiValentine Poem. And I don't mean A-U-N-T-I-E. This is about an affair with a married man. And it's inspired also by another art piece after Chardin's Rabbit with Game Bag and Powder Flask. It's in 1730 oil on canvas. Chardin's Rabbit. Lilac bough limp with rain hanging across the fence in the arc of Chardin's Rabbit. Vertical, yet falling, tethered to a leather loop from one stiffened leg to a thick beam in the ceiling, its shiny eye a seed of oil. An inverted crucifixion framed by an oval of darkness, the rabbit's head resting on the edge of a worn and battered butcher's block, pigment painstakingly built up, gray over mauve, bristled, blood-stained, ears pointed, alert at the moment of death. I imagine the lilacs, clusters of dampened light, will spring back buoyant when morning comes climbing up the white fence pickets. I step across interlocking brick, shake the bush, no dead rabbit masterpiece, rather simple woody boughs, various wet leaves, deepening shades of green, bundles of mauve. Shake one, vase it, shake one, cut it, vase it under carnal light. Blossoms lift, living room fills with lilac desire. Hopeful, I meet you with smile and clean skin. The sun arrives for our first kiss across the frame of your bicycle. A good kiss, brave meeting of lips in the middle of the street. I look up to you, not because you are tall, and you are tall, but rather because our eyes lock and yours water gold. And it isn't the reflection of sun or the light changing across your face that takes me by the throat. It's the weight of those gold earth eyes warming us both. A kiss through opening sky. I saw the interplay of grace and sadness on your face when you told me about your wife. Between us was the brilliant frame of your bicycle, its spinning spoke, the sincere wedge of your voice. Above us, the oil black cloud of the lie. Big trouble. Okay. So the last two poems are from Narcissus Unfolding Again. And we're going to go to summer for these last two poems. So imagine a nice hot summer night called Night Sky. Night Sky. Maybe your attention to darkness has to do with stars. Maybe the stars are hidden. Kneeling in wet grass, you lean forward, beg a mystery of the pond, its glassy black surface, and what moves beneath the calm. Maybe your bent-over question is weighted in rapture, like the quivering monk whose robe loosens as he sighs and surrenders to the sensual. Maybe you stay on your knees, fingering the muddy earth, root and pebble under the iridescent lawn, inhale solitude, its slender sorrow. 4 in the morning crickets, a moonlit raccoon taking her time at the bins, dew and mosquitoes, mud on your fingers, and deep in your throat longing, stars like silver fish in the pond. And the last poem tonight is a short one, written for Henri Cole. So I studied with Henri Cole at Saratoga in upstate New York a couple of years ago, and when you do these workshops, sometimes you get your 10 minutes with the famous poet, right? And so this poem is about my 10 minutes with a poet who I really, really admire a lot. Again, another hot summer day in upstate New York. Teacher by the Pond. He sits facing east, a tear of dusk in his hazel eyes. Knees together, hands folded over a pile of books in his lap, a frog rests near his sandaled feet. "Why are you here, frog?" he asks. The frog leaps forward, his whole self a small green lung. All morning it rains streams and puddles, poems like sheets of lilies. His back straight, finger spread out on the green arms of the chair. Why are you here, somber frog? Wet and shining, the frog inhales, swells as if he has swallowed a swamp of mosquitoes. Humid breeze across the puddle. Frog exhales. A flutter of bats inks the sky. The sun sets behind a cloud. I want teacher to love me. Thanks, everyone.